Hey guys, welcome back to the part 2 of our gripping story of Danaya. If you haven't already, we highly recommend watching part 1 to catch up on the twists and turns that have brought us to this moment. While you're at it, don't forget to subscribe, it's totally free, and please turn on that notification bell so you won't miss out on any of our amazing stories. Now, let's continue. Chidinma couldn't believe how drastically her life had changed, going from grass to grace. She was in shock and refused to talk to anyone, especially her father. Her silence broke her mother's heart. One morning, Chidinma refused to eat her breakfast before going to school and left the small house without a word. Janet, heartbroken but determined to reach out to her daughter, decided to prepare a special, delicious meal just for her, hoping it would lift up her spirits. Carefully packing the food, Janet made her way to Chidinma's school, her heart full of love and concern. Chidinma and her friends, Lillian and Precious, were sitting under a large tree at school, laughing and chatting about the latest gadgets their parents had bought for them. "My dad got me the newest smartphone," Lillian exclaimed, showing off the sleek device. "It's got the best camera and everything." "That's nothing," Precious chimed in. "My mom got me a gaming console with all the latest games. It's just amazing." Lillian nodded, holding up her wristwatch. "Check out my newest smartwatch. It can do so much and it's so stylish." Chidinma listened, feeling sad as she had nothing to show off. Not wanting to feel left out, she fabricated a story, her voice steady as she spoke. "Well, my parents got me a new tablet. It's really cool and has all the latest features." Chidinma lied, hoping her friends would see through her fabrication. Just as she was describing the fictional tablet, Janet arrived at the school. She spotted her daughter under the tree and called out, "Chidinma, my pikin." Chidinma's heart sank. She turned to see her mother approaching, dressed in her modest clothing, her face tired but kind. Her friends looked at Janet with curiosity. "Who is that poor woman calling out to you?" Lillian asked, wrinkling her nose. Chidinma's mind raced. She was ashamed and scared of what her friends might think. "Oh, that's just our housemaid," she blurted out, forcing a smile. "She cooks and takes care of our home." Janet, hearing Chidinma's voice, stopped in her tracks. Her eyes were wide with shock and hurt. She couldn't believe her ears. Her own child had just denied her in public. Chidinma's friends looked back and forth between Chidinma and Janet, confused and intrigued. Chidinma felt a wave of guilt wash over her, but she was too embarrassed to admit the truth. Janet's face fell. Her eyes were wide with shock and hurt. The betrayal cut deep, but she remained silent, not wanting to make the situation worse for Chidinma. She placed the food gently in Chidinma's hand before walking away. Her heart was broken with every step. Chidinma's friends looked at her puzzled but accepted her explanation. Chidinma, however, felt deep regret as she watched her mother walk away. She couldn't concentrate for the rest of the day, her mind haunted by the image of Janet's sad eyes. Back at Dapo and Juliet's home, Juliet felt an overwhelming sense of loneliness. Tears became her daily companion. Each day, she would sit in the empty room that once belonged to Chidinma, clutching a small toy Chidinma had left behind, and cry to God, "God, why would you give me all this wealth without a single child to warm my home? Even the one I was beginning to take care of has been taken away from me. What exactly is my sin? Am I the worst sinner?" Her cries filled the house with a deep sense of sorrow. Juliet's health began to deteriorate from the constant emotional strain. Her once vibrant spirit was now a shadow of her former self. Each day, she grew weaker, consumed by her grief and longing. One evening, Dagmar came home from work to find Juliet burning up with a fever. He rushed to her side, his heart breaking at the sight of her. "I have told you to stop doing this to yourself," he said gently but firmly. "Now you're burning up because of constant crying. This isn't healthy for you." Juliet looked at him with hollow eyes, her voice barely a whisper. "I can't help it, Dagmar. The pain is too much. I miss Chidima so much, and I can't understand why we have to suffer like this." Dagmar's own eyes filled with tears. He scooped Juliet into his arms and carried her to the car, driving as fast as he could to the hospital. At the hospital, the doctors quickly attended to Juliet, administering fluids and medication to bring down her fever. Dagmar sat by her bedside, holding her hand as Juliet drifted in and out of consciousness. She whispered, "Dagmar, what did we do to deserve this? I just want a child to love and care for." Dagmar squeezed her hand, tears falling freely. "I don't know, Juliet, but I know that we have each other and we have to stay strong. We will get through this together." Back at Janet's house, when Chidima came back from school, her face was set in a mask of frustration. She found Janet in the kitchen as usual, preparing dinner for the family. "Mama," Chidima began sharply, "I don't want you to come to my school anymore. Don't bring me food. Don't visit me. Just stay away." Janet froze, her heart breaking at her daughter's harsh words. She turned slowly to face Chidima. Her eyes was filled with a mixture of pain and confusion. "Chidima, I only wanted to make sure you were okay. I thought the food would make you happy." "It embarrasses me, Mama," Chidima said. "The kids at school don't understand our situation and I don't want to be different." Janet nodded slowly, tears welling up in her eyes. She realized that her daughter was struggling with the drastic changes in her life and the judgment of her peers. "I'm sorry, Chidima. I didn't mean to make things harder for you." Chidima turned and walked into her room. Janet sank into a chair, her thoughts racing. Had she made a mistake by allowing Chidima to live with Dagmar and Juliet? Had the comfort of their home caused Chidima to forget where she came from? In the evening, Janet felt the urge to talk to Chidima from the heart. She sat beside her daughter, her eyes full of love and concern. "Chidima, my daughter," she began, "I understand what you are going through, but I want you to know that life is full of ups and downs. Instead of wallowing in sorrow, shame, and self-pity, see it as a stepping stone to a better life. Don't see yourself as if your own life is the worst. Embrace the changes, and I believe you can turn it around for good." Chidima felt her mother's words deeply, a pang of shame washing over her. She wondered if she had been selfish and ungrateful. This had been her life before she tasted wealth, and now she realized how much her mother had suffered for her. Chidima asked herself if self-pity would do her any good. As she pondered, she decided to take it upon herself to better her life and to help her family out of poverty. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but her mother's faith in her gave her the strength she needed. "Mama," Chidima said softly. Her voice was filled with profound resolve. "You are right. I have been so focused on what I lost that I forgot that I still have you. I promise you, I will work hard and make a better life for us." Janet smiled, tears of pride and relief in her eyes. "I know you will, Chidinma. You are strong and capable." From that day forward, Chidinma threw herself into her studies with renewed vigor. She took on extra responsibilities at home, helping Janet with chores and caring for her younger siblings. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Chidinma visited Juliet upon hearing that she was sick. Juliet's spirits lifted at the sight of Chidinma, and she hugged her tightly. They immersed themselves in a heartfelt conversation, finding comfort and joy in each other's presence. As they talked, the doctor rushed in with a beaming smile on his face. Dakbo, who had been sitting nearby, rose quickly, fear edging across his face. "Is everything okay?" Dakbo asked, his voice trembling. The doctor, still smiling, replied, "From the test we ran, it appears Juliet is 2 months pregnant." Juliet's eyes widened in shock, overwhelmed at the doctor's report, and she fainted. The medical staff quickly rushed to her side, resuscitating her and bringing her back to consciousness. Hours later, tears of joy flowed freely in the room. Juliet was still reeling, unable to believe what was happening. Chidinma was overjoyed, and Dakpo stood there, a broad smile on his face that he tried to process the incredible news. Juliet was discharged from the hospital, and their home was soon filled with joy and happiness. Chidinma made it a point to visit Juliet every day, ensuring she was okay before returning to her own home. Juliet was indeed overjoyed. Chidinma continued to excel in her studies. One day, Chidinma saw her father drinking himself into a stupor and decided to approach him. "Papa, why are you doing this to yourself?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. "Please stop this drinking habit for my sake. I want to have a dad to enjoy my success with when I make it in life." Mr. Joshua, upon hearing her words, smiled and asked, "You mean you will give me money when you make it in life?" Chidinma smiled warmly. "Of course, Papa." His expression softened as he asked, "You mean you don't hate me anymore?" "No, Papa," Chidinma replied. "Your actions were immature and selfish, but in the end, it all worked out. It made me realize I had to work harder for the sake of my siblings, you, and Mama. I was already so comfortable where I was, so I'm not angry with you. Your actions removed the scales from my eyes to face reality and embrace my responsibility." Mr. Joshua looked at Chidinma with a mixture of shame and admiration. Her maturity and understanding touched him deeply. "I'm sorry for everything, Chidinma," he said, his voice cracking. "I never wanted to hurt you." Chidinma reached out and held his hand. "I know, Papa. Let's move forward together. I need you to be strong and healthy, not just for me, but for the whole family." Tears welled up in Mr. Joshua's eyes as he nodded. "I will try, Chidinma. For you, I will try to change." From that day on, Mr. Joshua began to make an effort to stop his drinking. Chidinma's words had sparked a change in him, and he started to see the importance of being a better father and husband. It was not an easy road, but with Chidinma's support and encouragement, he gradually began to turn his life around. Juliet, heavily pregnant, carried all the pains with love, joy, and great expectations. On the day of delivery, she was filled with nervous excitement, and Dakpa stayed by her side, holding her hand through every contraction. Hours later, the miraculous news spread throughout the hospital and quickly reached their community. Juliet had given birth to twins. The entire community was shocked and bewildered by this incredible blessing. People gathered in disbelief, sharing the joyous news with one another. Their home was soon filled with celebrations upon celebrations. Friends, family, and neighbors rushed in to congratulate them, bringing gifts and offering their heartfelt blessings. The once quiet home was now a lively hub of happiness and festivity. Chidinma, overjoyed by the arrival of her new siblings, felt an even deeper connection to Juliet and Dakpo, who had shown her so much kindness and love. As the celebrations continued, Dakpo and Juliet marveled at the incredible turn of events in their lives. They knew that their journey had been filled with challenges, but now they were blessed beyond measure, reminding them of the power of faith and perseverance. Years later, Chidinma won an award for Best Graduate in High School and was granted a scholarship to study abroad. While there, she balanced work with studying diligently, sending money back home to ensure her 5 siblings excelled in their studies. Chidinma entrusted her father with the money to build a beautiful mansion for the family in their village. Over the course of 4 years, she poured her heart and effort into her studies and work, always thinking of her family back home. Upon her arrival back home, Chidinma was overwhelmed with tears of joy as she stood in their beautiful compound, where a beautiful mansion now stood. Her parents and siblings looked healthy and happy. Zakpo, Juliet and their babies were full of smiles, having organized a grand welcome party for her. The atmosphere was filled with laughter, music and celebration. During the celebration, Chidinma was surrounded by her loved ones, all immensely proud of her achievements. As the festivities continued, Chidinma stood up to address everyone. Her heart was full of gratitude and joy. She ended her speech with a powerful phrase that resonated with everyone present. "Don't forget to lift others as you are growing." That was what she said. Her words were met with applause and tears, echoing the values of compassion, hard work, and generosity as that has guided her journey. Chidinma's story became an inspiration to the entire village, a testament to the strength of perseverance, the importance of family, and the incredible impact of lifting others as you climb. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss out on any of our amazing stories. Bye bye.